And what do we think of Enterprise Part 1 as a whole? Well, if we just look at some of the standard things, as far as new features go, the new feature, I guess, would be the Xindi hostiles, right? That's our new thing to deal with. Obviously, the way that they came out, thresholds were probably too high. They did a good job of lowering them within a few days. The favors related to that are strictly Xindi scrapping and X Borg stuff, there's some pretty good stuff in here. Obviously, it's going to take a little while to unlock it unless you're willing to spend to do it sooner. So overall, I feel like this content is pretty good. The Xindi hostiles themselves were unbalanced. They kind of fixed it and regulated it. So I guess we could, overall as a whole, maybe we'll give that like a B minus. I think I'll just give it a solid B because I think that's what it is, right? The favors are good. They have universal appeal, unlike the Section 31 favors that only help really for wave defense, except for the Armada Quick Start. The actual X Borg favors do things like help you get broken ship parts or help you with the cost of building upgrades and things. So these are more attractive, for sure. The Xindi scrap exchange was, like we talked about, was a little rough at the beginning, but that's certainly improved and gotten better in terms of the payouts there. So I think from a new feature, I think that came out pretty good. Officers, these are pretty underwhelming, the two officers that we got this month. Trip Tucker lowers their crit damage as his officer ability. Not overly impressive there. Below deck ability, giving you more loot for your Hirogen and Species 8472 hostiles, basically helping your Voyager loop. Seems weird that why would a guy who is part of Enterprise, which is 200 years before Voyager, help you get more Voyager loot? It's a nice little bonus. Is it worthy of an epic officer? Probably not. So kind of underwhelming there. And then T'Pol, more protected cargo. Well, we already have a bunch of officers that do that, but I guess, sure, why not? And below deck, boosting to ore mining speed. I mean, okay, decent, but I'm probably going to rate these guys like a C because I don't feel like either one of them, change a whole lot in terms of desirability, gameplay. You know, Now their best value may be yet to come as we see what future officers we do get. We get a Captain Archer and suddenly he's got a good ability and you need synergy for him. That could make some of their improve on some of their usefulness. But that remains to be seen. We have to wait and see, if there is an NX-01 or if there is Archer and what his ability and stuff do, how some of this other stuff might balance itself out. Communication, well, we didn't really get any, so. But then again, there wasn't also a whole lot to communicate. Like, there weren't really that many problems this month that I recall. That it was like, hey, what's going on? We need to know about these things. And at the same time, I feel like we didn't have them have to say much. Like, even if we go to the official fleet command, look at recent announcements, they did some maintenance, they reset territory capture. That was communicated a couple of days in advance. They talked about the territory changes ahead of time. So that was fine. The One Formation Armada event had the wrong rewards. They announced that within a couple hours. So that was pretty good. And then, yeah, they were pretty quick to respond when they heard us complaining about how the Xindi stuff was working out. That was only a couple of days. So I guess we'll give them, a C plus for communication because they didn't talk to us very much. But when they did, it was at least fairly timely. So that seems pretty pretty decent. And then in terms of gameplay and stability, we had some, little bits of lag spikes here and there, but we didn't have the usual issue. We didn't have servers offline for hours at a time. We didn't have things so tied up that they were like unplayable. You know, territory defenses might have been a little rough the first day or two of the new launch. Wave defenses had one or two little hiccups that were fixed with the mid-month patch. I don't things like, you know, gameplay didn't drastically improve and suddenly the game started running a lot smoother, but it also didn't run any worse. So I feel like we're probably right in that same range, like, C, C plus, in terms of, yeah, what you needed to do, what you needed to work, continued to work. So kudos for that. And then overall, it's, not a very exciting month, but there certainly isn't a lot of negativity attached to this month either. It's kind of just very run of the mill, right? This will be a month, 6 months from now, we'll be looking back on and be like, what happened that month? Oh, right. Yeah, we got the Zindi stuff, right? Okay. Yeah, that was kind of a pain in the ass for the first little bit, but it seemed like it got better. Or I don't even do that stuff anymore now. And then I got all the favors I wanted. So, yeah, I guess overall we'll kind of give this month like a B minus C plus, where everything just kind of felt average-ish. At least in my opinion. I'll see what you guys think. Naz has got a lot of lag right now, so obviously that's not might color his mind a little bit in terms of what's going on. Okay. Zindi hostels were a nice challenge, says Darth. They were really well designed for once. Okay. Trip's ability should have worked better against the Zindi. Well, I'm sure that'll be what we get in future months with Archer and other officers. Will probably somebody have a Zindi specific ability. They couldn't put out the officers month number one because then you'd be less incentivized to push to get the favors. Um, if the officer made it better. So they had to balance that out a bit. So I'm sure as we go through the arc and we get more officers, we'll see somebody along the way, whether it's Archer or somebody else, maybe Malcolm Reed or something like that, who will have a Zindi specific ability. Staggering the battle pass has made it easier to adjust to all the new things expected. That was also a nice thing too, moving the TC pass to the mid-month and also putting wave defenses out mid-month as well. That was a good bit of a balancing act. So we weren't, and also the way that they redesigned wave defenses was a good change. So you're only having to do one wave defense every 3 days. It only takes you 5 of the 7 events to finish the actual wave defense battle pass. So you can still, you can take 3 days off and miss a wave defense or two and still finish the season pass there. So those were good changes. Also worth pointing out. I agree, Ace. Good call out there. Compared to November and December, stability was good, but it was a low bar. Well, if you are comparing it to November and December, yes, this month was a drastic improvement from those months. Probably not where a lot of people would like it to be yet, but at least it seems like it didn't get any worse, so maybe we're moving in the right direction finally, right? We swung all the way to the side and we didn't keep going, and maybe now we can start to swing back toward the good side. Free the Nuke says he still has lag with the waves and that the double hostiles is not fixed. That's one I haven't seen yet. I was surprised when I read about that because I hadn't heard much about that at all. I didn't even know that was a thing, to be honest. So interesting to hear that called out there. But you're saying it's still not fixed, even though they put it in the patch notes that it was fixed? Okay. This is sort of the dreaded meets expectations. There you go. When you're doing your performance review and it's like meets expectations. Like you did what you are supposed to do. Like I'm not going to give you a cookie. I'm not going to give you a raise. You did your job. You didn't go above and beyond. You didn't wow and dazzle me, but at the same point in time, you didn't disappoint me, I guess, is how we look at this month. Okay. Nuts says that stability you need a great perspective of the mobile player. Doesn't care how wonderful it plays on the PC. It's still trash on your mobile device. I have not had any bad experiences with my mobile devices. I know you consistently have issues with your mobile devices. And I'm sure there are other people out there having the same experience. When I play on my phone, when I play on my iPad, I have not had issues of constantly getting kicked off or disconnected or anything like that. The game runs the same for me on my PC as it does for me on each of my devices, and neither of them are new. They're all like 3+ years old at this point, so it's not even like I went out and bought something new that just happens to run the game better. Maybe that's why they work better because they're older devices. I don't know, but I mean, I'm sure there are people out there having a similar experience as you are with their mobile devices. So that's certainly good to recognize that viewpoint as well. Found extended zoom causes you to drop a lot more. Belair's iPad kicks him off 15 times in one day and then none the next day. So very inconsistent. Yeah, but you live in Canada, though. That could just be your internet. Joking. Just joking, of course. Barkman, when you're playing on your iPhone, you had a lot more crashes this month. Okay, so see, there are other people out there, and obviously, anybody watching this later, feel free to leave comments if you think if you're having issues with your mobile devices, so we can continue to identify that as being something that still needs to be worked on. Less instances having to manually restart the game or clear your localization. Well, I guess that's a small victory we'll take. Every American crash is 1.3 Canadian crashes. There you go. Is that about that what the conversion rate is these days? So we do need to do a wave defense. Let's swap ships here. Having to do with a frame rate thing? Could be. That one's full. These are full. We'll get back to those in a minute. Okay, well, that's some good feedback there. If anybody thinks of anything in the next couple minutes, feel free to also shout it out. But yeah, I feel like this was kind of the month that we asked them for. We kind of said, hey, we're okay if you guys ease up on new content, if that gives you the time to make the game like just more enjoyable and more playable. And I feel like maybe we took the first step in that direction. Obviously, still a long way to go, and we're not out of the woods yet, but we're going to be like, okay, maybe we can at least be a little more optimistic in terms of how the year is starting off, and maybe we're trending in a new direction because we started off 2023 in a great direction as well. Getting the freebooters, getting the Xborg rep going, and cutting down on terms of our play time and things like that before they added 4 more new loops back to the game. Maybe more than that. I picked 4 out of the air. I don't know if 4 is even the right number. But before they added a bunch of new loops back to the game throughout the rest of the year to fill that time back up that they had condensed for us, we got a little bit of a reprieve. And then as the year went on, we also saw a lot more issues with server stability and server lag and gameplay quality and things and comp chests and all kinds of stuff in the second half of the year. So hopefully this is the first step in the right direction in terms of getting things back to where we were enjoying our playing experience more at the end of 22 and the beginning of 23. So we shall see.